potential political situation that the Trump administration could certainly find themselves in, just scenario down the line, that if Ukraine does, and as we're sort of talking about, this sounds like a situation that runs the risk of a collapse. And if there's an Afghanistan style collapse going into midterms politically, that's obviously going to be a huge price for the administration, as it was for Biden. If, of course, that's only really if this becomes Trump's war, even though I think it's still more seen as a Biden thing at this point. But, those images that we saw of Afghanistan, certainly ones that no one's ever going to forget. And I think a lot of people would hate to see images like that coming out of Ukraine, coming out of Kiev, especially. And then there's Zelensky himself. They're already protesting him. I mean, what happens if we're in a situation where Zelensky is fleeing to London before Christmas?
Well, I just would say that, I think one solution here is just to give Zelensky Stephen Colbert's spot on CBS. Give him something to do, get him out of Ukraine.
Going back to his
that could
roots.
be part of the deal. I mean, we were talking about it. That's just, Zelensky was the Jon Stewart of Ukraine before all of this, so that could maybe be part of the peace deal. But joking aside, you bring up a very, very important point, and that President Trump doesn't want this to become his war. So I think going forward, he needs to find ways to continue to get the Americans extricated out of a leading role in supporting Ukraine, make this more of a European problem. And at some point, he has, again, I think it would be good the United States helped drive a peace deal, but we need to be able to walk away at some point and say, this is a European problem, this is a Eurasia problem. The United States has other more important things to deal with. Because again, there's a political ramification to it if this thing falls apart under President Trump's watch, and if we are ultimately more and more involved. And I would just go back to what I said earlier. It's just kind of like with Afghanistan. The way the withdrawal happened, the way the collapse happened was disgraceful, but we have to admit is that there was no path to real victory in that war, just like there's no path to a total Ukraine victory in this war. And we need to acknowledge it's going to be somewhat of an ugly peace, but at least it preserves a future for Ukraine and its people going forward, as opposed to a total collapse or total Russian domination.